Hey everybody, Dr. Lorenzo Neal here. Thank you so much for thinking not robbery to tune into this video. Before I get any further into the video, I want to invite you to hit that like button, and if you haven't done so, subscribe to this channel. It's been a minute since I posted, but I'm back and I just want to share. By now you've heard that Takeoff, the rapper Takeoff of the rap trio Migos, was killed in a senseless act of gun violence in Houston, Texas. By all accounts, it was over a dice game going awry, but he unfortunately lost his life. There were at least two other persons shot, a 23-year-old woman and a 23-year-old man. I can't remember, but two other individuals were shot outside of a bowling alley in Houston, Texas. Those of you who are aware know that I am an advocate for gun violence prevention. I share my story across this country on various outlets of how I've been personally impacted by gun violence. And it grieves me every time I hear of another act of senseless gun violence, somebody losing their life, someone losing their life to a senseless act of gun violence. And this is no different. I think the biggest thing that makes this headline is because of who Takeoff was. The youngest of the rap trio, 28 years old. Bright future ahead of him. They had just released an album. They had just finished filming the video for that album. He had done an interview stating of how excited he was and how this was something different from him and how he wanted to not just be a little bolder in his rap game, but he wanted people to know that, hey, this is who I am. And he explicitly said that he wanted to have his flowers while he was alive, not while he was gone. And unfortunately, he's going to get his flowers while he's gone. A lot of people are going to hear this and say, look, this is another act of black on black violence, crime, and gun violence. Others will say this is a senseless act of gun violence. Others will use this for, their argument for pro-gun or anti-gun. It's going to be used in a number of ways, but the reality is another young black man's life is gone. Preventably gone. And, there'll be factions who talk about, rappers and entourages and all of that. I can't speak to that. I don't know about it. I've never been a part of that. I think we should just focus on the fact that this young man's life, that he was the quiet one of the group. He was laid back, and he looked up all the members of Migos are related, uncle, cousins. They're related. They grew up together. They formed this trio together, and as I understand, they've gone through some rift of sorts. But, that's what happens with family, especially when family is engaged in the arts or business or anything. That friction is going to happen, and that spew will come, all of that. That's part of it. But to know that this young man has lost his life because of a senseless act of gun violence, and the mayor, the chief of police of Houston, and all public officials are begging people to come forward with any information that they may have. They're begging. But the other tragic thing that I see, and it's quite disturbing to me, is the fact that there are media outlets, media that, someone took the time to not only take photographs or videos, but to upload them to social media as this man is losing his life. His life is fading away. And I'm not saying they did it for clout. Who knows? I think they probably were thinking this needed to be shared. I don't know, but it's egregious to me that is out there, and you can watch this man's life leave him in real time on video. You know, that there was somebody who thought it more important to let me get this, let me capture this moment, than to let me tend to him, let us get to him, and all of that, and not just him, but the others who were also injured from the gunshots. And to think that those persons who were there, perhaps members of his entourage or their entourage, who thought their best thing to do was in the middle of a heated debate over heated things over gun violence, not gun violence, heated dispute over a dice game, to resolve that dispute was to take out a gun. Man, I grew up when you were shooting craps in the back alley. They were shooting craps in the rec center where I grew up in my neighborhood, and always got in fights. But I do mean there was always a fight. Shoot, they were fighting over ping pong, table tennis. But the fight was, you went with your hands. You didn't pull out a weapon. And we know far back, shooting crap, there was always some type of altercation. And sometimes people did lose their lives to it. But the fact that this person or those persons decided that their best action of retort to an argument was to immediately pull out their gun and just start shooting. Now, I don't know what the space looked like. I don't know what the bowling alley or whatever. I don't know what it looked like. I don't know how enclosed the crowd is or was around them. The distance between the shooters and all the players. I don't know that. But what I do know is that the persons who pulled out their guns as a retort to a dispute over a dice game shows that we got issues that we got to deal with as black men. It shows that we got emotional crises. We have impulsive, negative reactions that we have to better learn how to address than with gun violence. I've committed my life not just to advocating against gun violence, but also as a pastor and as a pastoral counselor, to empowering people with the tools they need to not just live a spiritual life or spirit-filled life, but a holistic, fulfilling life where they are aware of the entirety of themselves, body, soul, and spirit, right? And the emotional component of that, especially for black men, that emotional component, the systemic trauma that most experience, the generational trauma that we have experienced, that is complicated grief and complicated trauma that we experience as black men, that we don't know how to address, and in many cases we are strongly discouraged from addressing. It's like it impedes on our masculinity, makes us too effeminate, all of that stuff. Y'all know what it is. It grieves me that in this moment we're seeing not only an increase in gun violence across the board in urban and rural communities, but we're seeing the persons carrying out this violence get younger and younger. People who should not have access to guns, getting access to guns and carrying out not just acts of gun violence where they're killing, but they're carjacking, they're assaulting people. They're doing all of this violent things. And yeah, there are people calling for, defunding the police. And then there's some who are calling for, being tough on crime. We've seen both of those in the past. We've seen how the tough on crime worked with black men, put more black men in the prison system. We're seeing how they defund the police or, redirect funds from police to other. We're seeing how that is negatively impacted. So what's our answer? What's the answer? And me being a pastor, of course, I'm going to say the church is the answer. But, we lose our credibility. We lose our credibility because of our own issues as clergy, as pastors, with our sexual immorality, with our greed, with malfeasance in office and all of the stuff that we do. We lose our credibility, so they don't want to come to the church. And we have my generation is responsible for this, and I'm just gonna be I'm a Gen Xer. I'm old enough to have children that young man's age. We have failed in some capacity. I don't know how. I'm not a parent, so I can't really speak to that. But I know that our generation, we know what we experienced. We grew up during the gang wars of the Crips, Bloods, and all that. We grew up, during the time when Banging in Little Rock was just coming out, and we got this glimpse into all of that. We saw it as gangster rap, was sensationalized, and that was the way that you made big bucks if you wanted to come into the game, the rap game. We're partially responsible. We're not fully responsible, but we have our share in it. Now we're the legislators. We're the parents. We're the pastors. We're the educators. And to some degree, we have to bear some responsibility of what's happening today. Anyway, that's I could go on about this, and I didn't want it to turn into a rant. I grieve for their loss, the Migos fans. I grieve for the rap game, its loss, But I really grieve for these young men who carry out acts of violence like that. Feel that they have to have a gun. Feel that they have to react with that sense of urgency to take a life or to prove that they could take a life or whatever it may have been. I grieve for them. I grieve for their parents. I grieve for those who may have children. And I grieve for these young boys. There's a lot we could do. And there are a lot of solutions. I know a lot of people who have solutions, who are trying to get solutions, and these solutions are 9 times out of 10 underfunded, underrepresented, and neglected by the broader community because it's not mainstream enough. But we need help. Well, I won't say we need help. We got all the help we need within our community. We just need to step up. There's no way things like this should be happening the way it's happening. Every day we shouldn't have a headline like this. It may not be, it may be this rapper this time. Maybe Pookie or Ray Ray next time. Maybe, maybe Jamal. I'm going generic, y'all just can see. There's a lot. And I've seen all the videos and all of that. We've got a lot to do. We got to step it up. We can do it. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments on this. And I'd be so kind if you would. I'd be so grateful if you would be so kind as to like and subscribe and share. Yeah. Appreciate you so much. Dr. Neil, I'm out.